Welcome to Door to Door Gaming, a place where three dudes talk about random shit and sometimes video games. I'm just kidding. We're actually just three mailmen that love to share our thoughts about a lot of different things, and video games just happens to be something that we're all addicted to. So I'm here. I am your host for today's episode. This is episode 3, and my name is Daulton. I will be the main annoying voice that seeps into your ears for the duration of this episode. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the only two other hosts that are a part of this episode. We've got John and Cameron. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Guten Tag.
Yeah, so for those of you who are new to this and have not listened before, generally the concept behind this podcast is we each generally bring a game to the table that we spent some amount of time on, whether it be, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 15 days, or if you're like Cameron and you like to 100% almost every game that you touch, he beats the whole damn game, gets all the achievements, collects all the stuff. Not me outing anyone in particular, but it is just a pattern that I am seeing.
Sounds like he's outing you, man.
I just came here for a good time, man. Feel attacked.
Hey, no, it's all cool. It's all good. We all love video games, so I definitely do not blame you. I wish, honestly, that I had the heart to do it as much as you do. But first up, we do have a special email. This one comes from Sarah, and she says, "Hi there, proud of all three of you. I should go keep gaming," with a upside down smiley face. Another friendly neighborhood mail lady / gamer. So thank you so much, Sarah. Hope you're enjoying all of your games and whatnot. I know that we have had some fun games that we are coming up on this week, but we actually have a new segment that we're wanting to introduce. Generally, what we made a list and compiled a bunch of different random topics that we thought would be interesting for you guys to hear about. And this week is about oddball games. So I don't know if anybody has one that they want to go with right off the rip. I know that this conversation stemmed initially from a previous conversation that we had. And actually, okay, I just asked if we wanted to hear from anyone in particular, but John, if you want to start it off, feel free.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so this conversation started like last week at some point. I can't remember what the hell got us into it, but at one point we were talking about I think we were playing Destiny at the time, but we were talking about like the different games that end up on different things that they're probably not supposed to be on, like Doom on a pregnancy test and stuff like that, which Cameron brought up a couple times actually. And I brought up one of my favorite things to play in high school was on the TI-83 graphing calculator called Drug Wars. At which point Daulton requested to know more and then immediately stopped me because he realized how stupid this could probably get.
Yes.
And I realized that you probably don't really know that the world of graphing calculator games exists then, correct?
Yeah, so I used a graphing calculator when I was in high school, but it wasn't as like ingrained into class as it might have been before my time.
Right.
But I had one friend, he would play Pac-Man on a graphing calculator, but I know that world expands much wider than just that.
I forgot how much it expanded actually, because I was looking into it this morning to refresh my brain a little bit, and there's a lot of stuff that I didn't. You can port Pokemon to a TI-84.
Nuts. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but so Drug Wars was originally, and of course I was doing some research this morning to like dig back into stuff that I didn't know about with it, because at the time I was just a 13-year-old, 14-year-old playing a stupid fucking game on a graphing calculator when I should have probably been paying attention to the thing I needed the graphing calculator for, But Drug Wars was originally a MS-DOS game released in '84 by John E. Dell. And the idea of it is you buy high, or you buy low and sell high, as drugs are. And it works like it works like it works.
I mean, at least you were learning something.
I was learning
the economics.
Teaching economy there, yeah.
Math. So Okay, so let me back up a little bit. I need you to. Okay, I want to put yourself in algebra class right now. Okay, you're 14 years old. Algebra class. It's the mid 2000s, early 2000s, right? Um, Whiteboards aren't a thing. Still chalkboards, dusty. I need you to put yourself in the right period. You look down and you realize that Officer Hardass has fucking caught your ass, and now you don't have any fucking money. Because that's how fucking hard shit rolls in drug wars are. So,
Just
so
hearing
the
you explain this sounds
so
so bizarre. Like, yeah, what do I do? What do I want to do when I'm 14? Oh yeah,
Just sitting,
sell
yeah,
drugs.
sitting in math class, selling drugs. You
So the
know,
game's
that's
really,
the
really
usual.
simple. It plays like it plays like Oregon Trail or something like that, right? So obviously you buy low and sell high, and the game starts out and you owe a shitload of money to a loan shark who gave you a loan to buy drugs. Um, and you have to go around the different the different whatever they're called in New York, like Queens, Harlem, all that, the different like sections of New York City, buying and selling drugs to make enough money to pay the loan shark, and you only have like 30 days to do it. And I can't remember, to be fair, how fast time passes or how time passes. But you get random events that'll happen, like you were mugged on the subway and you lose this much money, or you do this and you lose this much money. And there's all sorts of
Now,
crazy
was
shit that
this
can happen. But the biggest thing, what is it?
was this game like text based? Because
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
it
there's
is.
a lot going on.
There's
Okay,
no
okay,
graphics. It's just text based.
okay.
It is 100%. So our wonderful listeners can't see the
You've been
cameras,
mugged.
but so like you get a window at the top. Oops. You get a window at the top. And inside of the window, you have two columns. You have your stash and you have your person. You have what's on your person. You have what's on your in your stash, and you have like, dude, it's like coke, meth, fucking pot. There's quaaludes. There's all sorts of shit, right? And you get like you have the amount, the quantity that you have, and what it's worth currently on the market. And then you have your trench coat, which is like your wallet. And then you have everything else, but in a stash. And Cameron's face. The stash is like
So disappointed.
the stash is the bag that you would like have shoved in the couch that you would try and hide when the fucking cops come knocking, right? So that's how the game works. And then the random events happened at the bottom of the screen. And the biggest thing that could happen, if I remember correctly, is Officer Hardass would catch you and he would just drain you of everything that you fucking have, and you have to start over. Like, that's it. That's Drug Wars on a calculator.
Is there like an end to the game? Like, do you just get
Yeah,
so
so I'm
rich from your
actually
cocaine?
yeah, so I'm on the Wikipedia page right now because I'm trying to find out. You start with $2,000 and 100 spaces in your trench coat and with no weapons. I don't remember there being a weapons thing. Player must have a gun. So there's you can fight the officers. That's cool. Uh, But after 30 days, the game ends and the final score is calculated. A player who finishes with $25 million will have a final score of 50 out of 100. So you have to have $50 million to completely beat the game and pay the loan shark back.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's based on how much money you make after a
Yes.
certain period of time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I do know you can still get this. There is a mobile. There's a mobile version. There was of course various things about what I'm going to say are may or may not be legitimate versus not legitimate ports, but it ended up in one way or another on Nintendo DS, on the PSP. There's currently a mobile version. You can get it on smart TVs, anything that has an Android that runs on Android. I do remember it being on MySpace. Zynga brought it to MySpace there for a little bit, and later on Facebook. Like it was a thing.
What?
Yeah. And there were plenty of other like graphing calculator games, like I mentioned, Pokemon could be ported to it, Doom could be ported to it, which I think is what started the conversation in the first place with Cameron. That and the one being ran by potatoes, but yeah, that's Drug Wars, Dalton.
That is
Was it
so
worth waiting for?
No, I think it was because it's
I'll get it
also
on there.
like,
I'll find it on Android later because I'm pretty sure it's multiplayer now, so we can
oh
rock
my
that.
God. Yes, stay tuned, y'all. We're gonna have a second segment about drug wars next week.
Yes, that's what I got. That's Drug Wars, man. There you go.
Oh shoot. What about you, Cameron? What oddball, what interesting weird games have you brought along?
So as of like right now, the game that I'm actually going to be getting into for this episode is what I would consider oddball or strange in general. Just because it's a newer version of an older game system, so to speak, that like sold terribly,
Oh, I just
if
now
that makes
okay, yep, I
sense.
remember what your game is now.
Okay, so I'll get into that when we get this segment wrapped up.
Sure, yeah, yeah. So mine, so we all, even though it was sort of like right at the, I was sort when I was growing up, it was kind of getting phased out. We all at some point experienced like plug and play game systems and things. You just plug into the TV and you're able to just play
Yeah.
whatever that one game is.
But
You can
yeah,
play it as many fucking
those have
times
made
as
a
you want.
comeback.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when I want to say I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I found one that was it was like a skateboard. It was like a Tony Hawk game, but the only thing I remember is you'd plug it in. There would be buttons on the side of the skateboard to like select like what map you wanted to be on and what area you were trying to skate in, and then the rest was just me as an 8-year-old trying to figure out how the heck the controller worked because it was like kind of motion sensing. Like it was meant to be almost like a more immersive experience. And so as an 8-year-old, I just sat there stomping on the fucking controller because I had no clue what was going on and it seemed like it didn't respond to anything I did. So, although my story is quite short and brief, that is like my major oddball
So
experience with plug and plays. What's up?
was the controller like a pad that you stood on, like replicating a skateboard?
The controller
Is that
was a
what you're saying?
skateboard. It was a
Oh,
skateboard.
Oh,
okay.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So
when you were
it
like,
was
"Oh yeah,
like
I was just stomping on the controller," I
oh
was
yeah, I
like,
guess I could have explained that a little better. Yeah. So yeah, so it was almost like instead of like your regular like Wii Fit board where there's like pressure sensing in each of the sides for your feet, it was like you could tilt. It was shaped like a skateboard, and you could tilt it on each of its like the head or the heel of the board. And it would like kind of respond, but like I said, I didn't understand it as a kid and I couldn't figure out how to make it like respond properly, so I would just get frustrated and just start like jumping and stomping on it. And I don't ever remember what happened to that game. I don't know where it went or it, like I don't even remember where I played it. I just vividly remember playing it.
so like honestly, one thing you guys probably would have never guessed about me is I actually really love skateboarding games. I can't skateboard to save my life though, but I kind of want to see if I can find that just to mess around with it because it sounds fun.
Yeah, there's a Wii game, a more recent Wii game it's called Tony Hawk. Oh shoot,
I
let me
okay. That's where I was gonna go. Was second Cameron said that I was gonna be like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Oh, it's called Tony Hawk Ride. I had this game at one point. Yeah, it's called Tony Hawk Ride, and to get it with the skateboard it came out for Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360. But if you got it for the Wii, it on here it's on sale. What looks to be from the company for $65.
Okay. Next paycheck.
I just sent a link in chat, Dalton. Tell me if that looks.
Oh my g that might be it. Yeah, that might actually be what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
For a
because
full
the
$14.99, my guy, you can relive your childhood.
oh, oh my god, this is totally the game. No way. That's insane. How did you find that so fast?
It's
That's
15 bucks.
wild.
You should definitely buy it.
Yeah. Oh, but Cameron, the one thing that would play the one thing that would play to your advantage is you have quite a big room, and for that skateboard to work, you have to have like a it's like 30 square foot clear distance for the sensor to like naturally function properly. Otherwise, it'll just be like, you're in too small of a room. This game won't work with the room that you're in, and then it just won't let you play.
Okay.
Oh, for the
Okay.
Wii?
Yeah, the Tony Hawk
Okay.
game, yeah. Yeah, because when I got it, I tried to play it in my family's living room when I was a kid, and I could never get it to work, and it's because we had too much furniture in our living room that it wasn't factoring in the overall space of the room. It was only within the confines of like skateboard, couch on one side, couch on the other side, chair behind, coffee
Right.
table in front of that. So it was like, yeah, you can't do this because you're really only working with like a 4x8 space when you need like a 10x10 space, or not actually, but you get what I mean.
Right, yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, I mean, so as far as oddball games go, I'm sure that we could go down like a whole huge rabbit hole, and because we've all played so many different, like genres of games and things, but yeah, it's just so wild and so fun to see. And I think it's like a generation and an era thing too. Is like
Yeah.
there are points in time where just like interesting technology is released alongside of video games, which a lot of times those like cross paths a lot too.
Right.
But
No, that speaking of which, if you have time for another real small quick one that actually
yeah, go
kind
for
of
it.
fits into my main game for the episode, um, do you know what the Dreamcast is, Dalton?
Yes and no. I mean, I know that it exists.
So weird quirk about the Dreamcast is much like the original Xbox, the memory cards go into the controller. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but the memory cards are what are called VMUs, which is I can't fucking remember. Anyway, I want to say virtual memory unit, but I don't feel like that's right. But the hold on, I'll cut the silence out. Give me a second.
Oh, is he actually about to just go and grab one of these right now? You just
All right.
have one on standby right now?
So for our listeners, I just went and grabbed the VMU that I have. And you can't see this, but this is a VMU. This is a memory card for
What in the shit?
yes. So it's got a screen on it and
It
it's
looks
got
like a
buttons on it.
Tamagotchi.
That's exactly what it is. So when you save a game on this, right? Most of the games come with mini games that you can
Oh my
play
god, it
with.
actually is.
Hello, Editor John here. I was a bit mistaken in the upcoming segment by the minigames for Shenmue on the VMU. It's not a Tetris-like game, it's actually more of an app than anything else, and it's called Shenmue Goodies. And essentially what it is an app where you can see a chibi version of almost all of the characters in the game that you obtain by getting winning cans from the vending machine while playing the game. And the game for Sonic Adventure is actually called Chow Adventure, and if anything, it's more of a Tamagotchi clone. The interesting thing about it is that if you have two people that both have Chow Adventure, you can connect your VMU units together in a way that I explain a little bit coming up here, and you can actually breed your Chows. So a little bit of a correction on my part for some misinformation coming up here. Sorry about that. Back to the show.
With this on, so like Shenmue has like this weird like Tetris type thing, I believe. There's other games, the Sonic game, what is it, Sonic 2 I think it is, or Sonic, I can't remember what the real popular one for Dreamcast was, but it's got a mini Sonic game that you can run around and grab rings and stuff on this, right? There's a couple that are like Pokemon clones and stuff like that, and you can play this on the go, right? Now the cool thing about these is this is a generic one and it doesn't have a screen on it. However, when you're friends with Sega's hundreds of millions of sales of the Dreamcast, you know how everybody had the Dreamcast, nobody had the Dreamcast. With you and all your friends could, if this one had a screen, could connect these together and trade items or Pokemon and shit in these games, as well as
Oh
trade
my gosh.
as well as
That's like
trade.
the DS, what was it, the DS Street Pass?
Yeah,
Where like if you yeah,
yeah.
sorry,
As
not to
no,
cut
you're
you off,
fine.
you know.
As well as trade and copy your save. You could give your save game to your friend this way. Fucking wild shit.
Hmm.
Weird games, oddball. There you go, right there.
Yeah, wow.
Also, every game, when this is plugged into the controller, there's a cutout in the controller, so this shows through. Every game has its own artwork that shows up as you're playing. Super cool stuff.
Yeah, it's
Anyway, that's that. Yeah. Sorry for completely also derailing that segment. There you
no,
go.
that's cool. I didn't even know that you had one of those physically in your possession. So,
So yeah,
and
yeah.
I got so
There's a
excited
reason.
when
There's a reason for that, and I'll explain it when I talk about my game.
All right. Well, then I guess that's a good opportunity to go ahead and just get into it. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, we all had games that we had played for this week that we have thus also researched slightly and put a good amount of time into for y'all to hear us talk about. So, is there anyone in particular that would like to go first, that would like to introduce their stuff?
As we said, John, you kind of already talked about a little bit of your game.
Yeah, you did. You did tease it a bit. Yeah.
All right, here we go. I played Shenmue, which I know neither of you have heard of. Until Cameron, I brought it up, and Daulton right fucking now. So Shenmue was developed by Sega AM2. It was an in-house creation by Sega, and it was published also by Sega. It released in 1999 on the Sega Dreamcast. To which I went out and I purchased a Sega Dreamcast for this episode. And Shenmue.
You did not.
I did. Would you like to see it for proof?
No, you don't.
Here's
have
part
to.
of it.
I mean, I suppose that doesn't surprise me.
I went. Shut up. You don't know my spending habits. I went out and I purchased a Dreamcast for this episode so I could play Shenmue. Shenmue is you guys are gonna have to trust me on this since you guys haven't heard of it, but it is a very, very influential game for the time. It was produced and directed by Yu Suzuki of Sega AM2. Like I said, in 1999. The game at the time in $1999, and I have not done any math, but I know it's buku, had a budget of an estimated $49 million. The upper cost of that people are thinking is the $70 million for a game in 1999. It had a team of hundreds of people. So what Shenmue is it's essentially Yu Suzuki's dream game. It is one of the few times in video game history where a developer or where a publisher, which just happened to be in-house, threw money at a developer and said, do what you want with the money. And Shenmue is what happened.
Wow.
It is, the first game came out in 99 on the Dreamcast. The second game came out in I think 2001, only on the original Xbox, and I do also have a copy of that. The third game came out in 2001 after being crowdfunded, if I remember correctly. But what happens is you follow God damn it, I can't fucking say his name. Ryo Hazuki. Fuck, I'm done. But bye. You follow Ryo Hazuki in his quest to avenge his father's death. So the game opens up on a rainy night. It's the night where the rain turns to snow. And you wander into your family dojo to find your father, Hazuki Sr., facing off against a gentleman, you don't know his name yet, that is dressed in very traditional, ceremonial Chinese garb. And he essentially beats your dad to death, with just masterful fucking martial arts. And you later find out that the man goes by the name of Lan Di. This game takes place over the course of 4 discs, which back then was a long time. How Long to Beat says that it's roughly 20 hours. I'm 3/4 of the way through disc 2 at the moment. But the game is, I believe it was good when it came out.
Oh,
And
no.
I'm saying that very objectively because I grew up in the time that the game came out, so I know what good was back then.
So it aged like a fine
aged
tomato. Just out in the sun.
Just like a nice bucket of milk in the summer.
No,
I
I'm sure it's good. I'm sure
I
it's good.
know for a fact that if I had played this game when I was under 10 years old when it came, it was 99, and I was playing games then. I was playing this kind of game then. I was playing like Resident Evils and stuff in 99, and I was 7-ish. I was right around 7. I know for a fact that if I would have played this game in 97 or in 99, I would have been blown the fuck away. The voice acting in this game is not good. The character controls are not good. The camera controls are not good. The script is not good. The storytelling is really good. The world building is phenomenal. Holy fuck. So I don't really know where to start. I'll start with the thing that pisses me off the most, and then I'll work my way to the things that really amaze me. Character controls in this game. If anybody has played any of the first Resident Evil games, they are referred to, or Dino Crisis, stuff like that, they're referred to as what is called tank controls, where the up on the D-pad moves forward, back on the D-pad walks backward, left on the D-pad turns left, right on the D-pad turns right. This is worse. Okay. Up on the D-pad walks forward, back on the D-pad about faces, left on the D-pad walks forward and left, right on the D-pad walks forward and right. And this game has some of the tightest fucking corridors I've ever seen in a game. I wish I could just show you guys a clip, but I didn't prepare it, even though I should. There's a lot of stuff that I should have prepared for this game. There are times where, for example, to walk into Ryo's home, you walk in, and then there's a step up, and you take your shoes off because it's Japan, and then immediately around the corner is the door into his room. At which point you have to bypass a dresser and walk up to the bed to save the game, because the game is on a day-night system, which I'll get into here in a little bit. To do this, you walk forward, which is awesome. You hold right on the D-pad to go around the corner. By holding right on the D-pad, you walk forward and right, and then just for some reason overshoot his door. So then you have to about face, walk directly into the wall behind you, about face again, and then hold right on the D-pad to walk to the door, hit A, he opens it, and then walk left on the D-pad to walk forward and left, only to walk directly into his dresser and like phase walk to the side until he misses the clip, and then he walks up to his bed. But not the whole game's like this. I love it. The really cool thing about it though is if you hold the left trigger, it's an analog trigger. So if holding the left trigger, you just walk forward all the time. You don't have to hold the D-pad. And if you hold the left trigger all the time, he runs. So that was actually a really comfortable mechanic. Yes. That being said, that's how you aim and look at things. You have at times 5, 6, 7, 8 different things in front of you that you can interact with, and you have to be spot on with the direction that you are looking to aim. I have come across things. I have been in a situation where I was trying to talk to a person, and I ended up interacting with a cat, only to back out from interacting with the cat, to move and try to turn slightly to the right to talk to a little girl, only to interact with the signs slightly to her right. Whew. However, oh god, now I have to reset. So the character control is horrible. The camera control is arguably worse. You have a stick on the Dreamcast, and when you use this stick, Ryo can kind of look around in various directions. And when you do that, it's easier, air quotes, to identify what you want to interact with, because the title of what you're going to interact with will pop up at the bottom of the screen. However, the second that it is one of those things, it's an auto centering camera. And if you want to look all the way to the right, you have to hold the stick all the way to the right. If you want to look 3 feet from the right of Ryo's line of sight, you have to awkwardly hold the stick in that particular spot. And the D-pad is not, or the analog stick is not a comfortable thing to use on the Dreamcast to begin with. You almost have to claw a finger over. It's very weird. The controls for this game are bad. The voice acting, though, the voice acting is where this game shines. I have nothing but good things to say about the voice acting in this game because the things that I say will make you laugh. That is the only good thing that comes from it. When Ryo's dad dies, it's referred to as the incident. And the way that this game works, it's a clue hunt, right? And the thing that amazes me about this game is that the whole thing is actually run off of an AI. Almost nothing is scripted in this game. You have to hunt for the correct clue, at which point everything else in the game will kind of shuffle itself for the next clue. You're always interacting with the same groups of people, with the same things, the same set map, looking for the next clue. But the solution in one playthrough is always going to be different than the solution in the next playthrough because it's some weird form of late 90s AI that's running it. That being said, it's almost entirely you talking to people searching for what you need to find. And that results in things like you speaking to 5 separate people and hearing the phrase, "Did you see anything on the night of the incident?" "Oh, hi, Ryo. Hello. Do you remember anything from the night of the incident?" "Oh, the night where the rain turned to snow?" "Yes, the night of the incident." I wish I was exaggerating this. I'm really fucking not. There's one point where there's one point where you come across a Chinese letter or a letter written in Mandarin. Side note, Daulton, your laughs aren't showing up. I don't know if you have crisp on or anything.
Oh no, I was that was a silent
I
laugh.
got you. Okay. But there's one
What you've
point where you
described
find
acting as
huh?
it from what you've described the voice acting as, it sounds like The Room, if you know that movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you remember specifically Jill Sandwich from Resident Evil?
Yes,
The
I
whole
do.
the whole game is like those.
Oh my god.
There is one point that is just I'm going to get canceled for what I'm about to say. But there's one point, it's my favorite line. There's one point, and it's now a thing in my fucking house for some reason. I can't complete my day without saying this at least once and shoving it in somewhere where it shouldn't go. Where you find a note written in Mandarin that you think is a clue. So you spend like an entire day going around talking to tens of people, asking them various things that are along the lines of, "Do you know where I can find any Chinese people from China?" I'm like, "Ryo, you can't just fucking ask that." "Do you know where there are any Chinese people? I'm looking for a Chinese person from China." I'm not exaggerating, man. I wish I soundboarded some of this stuff. The voice acting in this is hilariously bad. There is one in particular conversation that sticks out in my mind where you go and talk to the owner of a jacket shop because you're looking for a guy with a tattoo. And you go up to this guy and you're like, "Oh, hello," whatever his name is. And he's like, "Oh, hi, Ryo. What can I do for you?" He's like, "I am looking for someone with a tattoo." "Oh, with a tattoo?" "Yes, he has a tattoo and he wears a black leather jacket." "Oh, the man with a black leather jacket? I think I know who you're talking about. He has a tattoo. Always comes in here flaunting his tattoo. Like he thinks he's cool. What a loser." Oh, yeah.
What a loser.
Dude, no, I can't say enough about the voice acting in this game because it's like equal parts it's mind-bogglingly amazingly bad. I love it. I love it. I actually love it. I'm really not trying to smack talk this. I genuinely get so much joy out of listening to this. It's horribly good.
I mean, it's
So,
really funny.
oh god. The writing in this game, though, the overall story and the world building in this game is phenomenal though. So the game runs off of a day-night cycle. You have to be at home and in bed by like 11. Your day starts at 8:45, and you get a journal. And every day you wake up, you see it. Your day starts with you seeing the journal and what you should be doing, and then that's like your thing. Like I need to go out and try and follow this lead. And it takes place over the same 3 maps throughout the entire game. Very small maps too. I mean, it is a 90s, what would amount for a somewhere between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 game, because that's when the Dreamcast came out. But so you have a hard limit of, I think it's like 90 something days to finish the game, and each hour takes about 15 minutes. So if you do the math, you only have about 36 hours to finish the game. And I don't think in the, let's see, I'm 3/4 of the way through disc 2. I think I've put probably 16 hours into the game so far, and I'm playing it pretty leisurely. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I have the strength to finish it, to be completely fair. But I don't think I talked to a single person the entire time that said the same thing twice. They always had something new to say. It almost never had anything to do with directly with the story that I was trying to unfold. It was world building. Like, as old and janky as this fucking game is that I've explained, I genuinely felt really engrossed and felt urged to learn more about the world that I was in while I was in it. Really, really, really weird for such an old. I mean, the two ends of it couldn't be more night and day. The camera controls, the character controls are just like the worst end of the spectrum that you could imagine. And honestly, the world building and stuff like that is like on one of the best ends of the spectrum that you can imagine, especially for the time. One of the things about Shenmue is it kind of did for the open world RPG genre what Halo did for first person shooters at the time. Mostly it was about the fact that the world building, people just didn't sit and repeat the same 3 lines for the entire game and stuff like that. The day night cycle. Oh, this game was the first to use the term QuickTime event. The reason QuickTime events exist today in games is because of Shenmue. And it did it really good. Like, it wasn't like, it was always like an in your face, like a genuine bop, you got to hit it now. You didn't expect it. The first QuickTime event that popped up on the screen genuinely pissed me off because I was like, what the fuck was that? This is the 90s. What I miss? I got the shit beat out of me. But it's one of those things. It's not a thing where if you fail the QuickTime event, you have to reload the game or you have to restart the segment. It's just things like he may get the shit beat out of him, and now you got to deal with that later in the story. If anybody's played Heavy Rain or any of those games made by that developer, that Quantic Dream, it's very much like that. Whereas there's a really famous one from Heavy Rain where you're chasing a murderer through a marketplace, and you're just being bombarded constantly with QuickTime events. And you hit the QuickTime event and you jump over the salad bar. And then you hit the other QuickTime event and you curb the boxes. You could also just fail every single QuickTime event in that sequence, and you will still get through the marketplace, but it is crashing through the salad bar, tripping over all of the boxes. It is one of the most hilarious fucking things that I've ever done in a game. But it's one of those
Where
it doesn't. What is it?
Where you were talking about the QuickTime events for Heavy Rain, where you're searching for your son, and it's just like, press Y to say his name, and it's just, Sean!
God!
Sean! And you can just keep doing that over and over and over.
Yes. Yeah, no, it does it really, for it being the first one to do it. I'm really happy to see that it didn't like punish me for, I mean, I absolutely did get my ass handed to me the first time a QuickTime event popped up because I was panicked. But the other side that it innovated with hardcore was this game. It's not a fighting game, but there is a very heavy fighting mechanic in it. Very Virtua Fighter, which is another Sega title. Every arm, heavy, light, and medium, both arms, both legs, everything has a button combination assigned to it. And you actually have to practice to get good at it, just like you would a fighter, which I know we had words about that. Daulton brought that up about hating fighting games. But this is one. This is, now I'm not trying to call you out, but
what do you mean? That's exactly what you did.
I'm just, hey, you deserved it. Look what you did to Cameron at the start of the episode.
Okay, fair enough.
It kind of defined what Virtua Fighter did for a lot of things. It refined fighting systems and games and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff from it that has survived to this day that wouldn't exist without Shenmue. But I don't think I'm gonna beat it. I did enjoy the time that I have played or spent with it. It's a bucket list game for me for sure. So I'm, regardless of how good or bad it is, I'm very happy that I experienced it, but I don't finish it. I really don't. That's yeah.
So I looked up. They actually have Shenmue 1, 2, and 3 on Steam.
Yes. So they also have it on the Xbox. And listen, so we're gonna we're gonna talk for a minute, all right? So I went out and I spent well over $100 on a copy of Shenmue and Dreamcast. Almost immediately after seeing that I could buy the Shenmue 1 and 2 remastered on the Xbox for $3. I needed a Dreamcast, but also they fixed the camera work, they fixed the character controls and a bunch of other stuff in the remasters. And that's not how I wanted to experience, because this is, so as you both know, I'm very big into retro games. Especially retro game preservation. And because of that, I watch a lot of content and I listen to a lot of podcasts on old games. And I have heard so fucking much about Shenmue that it did not sit right with me to experience it in an altered state from when it originally launched. If that makes sense.
That's understandable, yeah.
I would have played Shenmue, but I wouldn't feel like I was getting Shenmue, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah. Well, now maybe you ought to try out the the redone versions just to see if it like gives you a bit more freedom to complete the games. You know.
I'll probably look into it. Like I said, the time that I did spend with it, the world building and stuff, it was all fascinating. I felt sucked in, like big time. But the other things, the controls and stuff like that, it kills it. It really does for the original. I would say even without touching the remake, I would say don't go out and buy a Dreamcast an original copy. Just get the $3 on the remake and see how it goes. That's Shenmue. That's all I got. You guys got questions? Ask them.
What made was it mainly those podcasts that made you pick that game?
Yeah, mostly.
Just hearing about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I tried to go into it since I've heard it many times over many different podcasts, 4 or 5 different podcasts. I've heard good and I've heard bad, but I went into it neutral, taking both into account and just knowing that, focusing on the fact that everybody loves the story that it has to offer, and it does have a good story. The writing on it is phenomenal. The storytelling's really fucking great. It's just the controls are the only thing that made it a chore.
Yeah, I feel like that could be something that really breaks it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Is this one of the games where it's like you're hell bent on revenge, and then you get to the end and you're like, you know what? I'm the bigger man. You get to live and face face the facts.
It's a really good thing that you asked that, because I've done plenty of research. If I've heard about Shenmue, that means I've also listened to the things about Shenmue 2. I don't really know much about Shenmue 3 except for reviews. However, Yu Suzuki, who created it, recently said Shenmue 3 does not finish the story, sadly. And a bunch of people were upset about that. And Yu Suzuki came out and said that he wants it to be a 9-game series. Now, there's a problem with that, which, I mean, if it's good, if his creativity is still as good as, what it was on the creative side and what I played, that's awesome. The problem is you can already kind of tell that it's set up to be a really like anticlimactic kind of story towards the end. Even with the half of the game, 3/4 of the game that I experienced in Shenmue 1, everything I've heard about in Shenmue 2, and some of the reviews that I've seen in Shenmue 3, you can already tell that like Ryo is kind of going down a darker path, if that makes sense. So in Shenmue 2, for example, he spends a lot more time. In Shenmue 1, it's all about fighting to. It's very traditional. It's you're only fighting to keep the balance. In Shenmue 2, he fights a lot more than he needs to, as well as it doesn't take place it doesn't take place in Japan, I believe. In Shenmue 3, his personality starts to change, so you can already kind of get the idea that he's going down a dark path, kind of Anakin Skywalker-ish. So a lot of people think that if the story were to be brought to an end, that it would end up being he would probably kill Londi and essentially pseudo take his spot kind of thing. That being said, that's the other thing that this game is prized for is when I mentioned the world building and the storytelling, everything mainly with the martial arts and being, honorable with it and only using it to begin with to like genuinely keep balance and, bring things to a resolution. Every single thing in this game is 100% accurate from characters' names to the languages that they speak. There are entire conversations that happen in Old Mandarin in this game that like you just don't fucking know. And then that's a whole nother thing is to like go find somebody that could translate something. Everything's very honorable. Everything looks, and from what I've read, there's a lot of care. It was one of the first games that genuinely translated to the Western world, our side of the world, the traditions and cultures of Japan. This is a really good question. It's a really good thing that you asked that because I don't think a lot of people have kind of came to terms with the fact that it's not necessarily about Ryu and Londi's ending of the story, as opposed to it being about enjoying the trip.
Yeah, we just got very, very, very philosophical in that moment.
I do that, and when I do that, I don't shut up. So you might have to shut me up if I start doing.
Yeah, shut up, John.
I'm gonna slide my headphones down. And, you let me know when the recording's over.
And he's gone. He has went away. He's disappeared.
That's two of the same joke in 2 episodes. That means we have to make merch about it, right?
Oh, did you make that joke last time?
No, wait, John, come back.
Yeah, it was an outtake at the end of the bonus, I think. So I see it now. It's gonna be a hoodie with a table with just headphones and a cord hanging down, and it says, "Let me know when the recording's over."
Just like a word bubble from like off screen, like let me know when you're done.
Yeah, there, first merch. All right, yeah, that's all I got on Shenmue.
All right. So what are we thinking, Cameron? You want to go next? You want me to go?
Yeah, I can go next.
All right,
My
go
game
for
won't
it.
take a whole lot of time to wrap up here. It is stylized as a game off of an older system called the Philips CDI, and this game or this system wasn't intentionally made for like video games necessarily. It was actually first developed by a Dutch company called Philips and Sony.
They're Dutch?
They basically, yeah, they're Dutch. But it was originally supposed to kind of incorporate audio, text, and graphics for like educational and like teaching purposes. Was like the original point of sale. Eventually, and I'm not for sure what company kind of geared them towards video games, but the games that I'm most familiar with on that were these Legend of Zelda games. And this was one of the first times Nintendo had ever like released a trademark character for another company to use. Long story short, it backfired terribly. The games are terrible. But there's like 3 Legend of Zelda games. One of them is Link: The Faces of Evil, Zelda: The Wand of Gamelon, and Zelda's Adventure. And John, you had mentioned this before. The live action one that you were thinking of is Zelda's Adventure.
Oh, is it? Okay, okay, yeah.
Yes, the other 2, The Faces of Evil.
These
Go ahead.
these came out in a time. It fascinates me the names of these because they sound very Dungeons and like old Dungeons and Dragons-y. But these came out. These were the 80s, the early 80s, correct? Was the CDI?
I don't know about all 3 of them, but The Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon came out. Both of them came out on October 10th, 1993.
93. Yeah, that's still early enough to where like nerdy shit sounded nerdy, like proper fucking nerdy.
But yeah, so Nintendo signed a deal with Sony. They're like, hey, you can take these characters and make a game with them. And like the games are the games were made by an animation studio called Animation Magic, which if that says anything about the quality, it should.
That immediately sounds like I should
It's
trust them.
yes, yeah. It's just
Take my money.
very cartoony, over the top, like it's like zany. Like the first thing that comes to mind would be uh Roger Rabbit,
Mm.
like that kind of like over the top
Mhm.
zaniness.
Right.
But anyway, the game that I'm talking about is Arzette and the Jewell of Faramore, and it's stylized like the older Zelda CDI games. And it's quite funny because the studio that made it um kind of took the name CDI and like ran with it as like a inside joke more or less,
Mhm.
because the studio's name is CDI, like a plant seed and like a human,
Oh, yeah,
like an
okay, yeah.
eyeball. So CDI. Um, but it's a hack and slash adventure game where you play as Arzette, who is like the queen of this kingdom. Um, Basically, you you're playing in the time of like peace, where like the main villain has been captured, and like everything is good in the kingdom. And then someone basically releases him out of his prison.
Mhm.
So you have to like basically imprison him again. Uh, but it has the same game mechanics as the Legend of Zelda games,
Right.
where as you progress through it, you get better and better items that you need to
Mhm.
progress farther.
Mhm.
So, like, one of the first items you get is an escape rope. So, if you get into a dungeon and you're not for sure what to do, you can use that escape rope and it'll take you back to like the safest part of that level. And then you can fast travel to back to the main hub world or, what have you. You'll get a lantern that allows you to like see in dark areas. Um, you get magic. There's like three levels of magic. You start off with like red, which allows you to dispel red barriers or kill enemies that have like a red aura shield around them. There's blue magic and purple magic, which is like a combination of the two.
Mhm.
So unlike a lot of games where you like clear out an area of enemies and they're just gone like forever, you kind of progress through a point, you'll hit a checkpoint, and then realize you need an item to continue. So you will have to go back, get that item, and when you come back, you have to progress through that level again. So it's
Mm.
kind of like their way of extending gameplay um, to a point.
Right.
But your main quest is collecting these purple jewel shards. There's like 5 of them, and the main villain kind of split them all up because okay, he was imprisoned in that crystal. So he split them all up and gave each one to one of his top minions. So you're going through these levels, defeating those minions to get each piece of the shard. When you get them all, you basically are supposed to put them back in this book that was like his prison, like you know. But you basically find out a better way that if someone were to get a hold of the book again, this whole thing would just happen again,
Mhm.
again. It would just be history repeating itself. So Arzette decides, I'm going to put those crystals in my sword, and then he'll be trapped in my sword. And because like obviously that is her sword, it's not going anywhere. So he's therefore entrapped, imprisoned in your sword.
Okay.
Um, Now I love the game. Like I said,
I,
they definitely took the idea of the CDI games, ran with it, and like improved on what was terribly wrong with the Zelda games.
Mhm.
Uh, Trying to think of what else to talk about here. Got the story.
What did you play on Xbox?
Yes, yeah.
No,
This
no,
released on.
bonus. He went out and bought a CDI.
Yeah. No, yeah. This is on modern consoles. But it
Okay.
is funny that John mention that because the the Philips CDI, because it was more of like a presentation system, was sold with a like a remote control for like a TV basically. It had like multiple buttons. You could like, use it like a slideshow, kind of deal, like back and forth, up, down, left, right. Um they eventually came up with a controller that is like much better to much better to use, air quotes, because it's
Mhm.
still pretty bad.
Right.
But my point that I'm getting at here is that there was a bundle that you could get from Limited Run. They're like one of the company that like sponsored this game,
Hmm.
or the game, whatever. Uh, if you bought that bundle, you actually got like a replica controller, like from the Philips CDI to like play this game on.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Like a
So
USB, because the controller that we looked up earlier, it does look like it should have a laser pointer on the end of it. A
yeah, and I
very,
mean,
very like it's sitting in the middle of the conference table when you walk in type stuff. It really.
but the voice acting and the animations, they're zany and over the top, but not quite like the Legend of Zelda one. I know there was a cutscene that sticks in my head from, I believe it was the Faces of Evil. You kill one of these villains by like poking him, like he's like a big old like inflated balloon like pig
Okay.
creature, and you like poke him with your sword, like not even stab him, just poke him, and it like deflates all the air out of him, and he's flying around the scene like a balloon, and he lands down like on the ground, and he's like, "Oh, you've defeated me!" And Zelda is standing there, and her only reaction to like this entire thing that just played out was good. It's just like that's it. But
That's
Good.
funny.
they they definitely have, because I beat the game. I didn't 100% it. I haven't gotten all the achievements, but I beat the main story.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know,
Very
crazy. Um,
slacking.
I'm
I know, I
fucking
know.
rookie
Well,
number.
it was like it was yeah. Got to pump them up. Got to pump up those the gamer score numbers. But they have it so like you have to beat it without using certain items that you get. So like items to make the game easier, it restricts you from those. So you have to like kind of memorize stuff
Mhm.
through your first playthrough or second playthrough or whatever. Um, they definitely left the game open for another one, and I'm kind of hoping that they make another one
Right.
because I quite enjoyed it.
Was this a Kickstarter? I can't remember if you mentioned
I
anything.
I believe it was. I'm
There's a
not
decent
a
chance they might
hundred.
have a sequel coming then.
I mean, if it was on limited run, it was probably a Kickstarter game.
That's fair.
Let me see. Publishers, limited run. Uh, can't. Trying to find any links to the actual game studio themselves. It's wanting to take me to limited run games. Uh, oh, and just to clear things up, all of these Zelda games that came out on the CDI, Nintendo has like officially stated that they are non-canon, like they do not exist to Nintendo.
Listen,
So
we didn't make this, but also we weren't successful in stopping other people from making it, so we just want to distance ourselves as much as possible.
they're just like, yeah, just pretend this doesn't exist, and we'll get along fine.
Yeah. We approved it, but you guys aren't allowed to think it's real.
Yeah.
I I'll have to look it up and get back to you guys on this, but I know they lost a lot of money. And I think one of the things that benefited Nintendo from this is that they were pretty much able to back out of this. They
Right.
had like a contract or something, and they found a loophole, and they're like, "Hey, you guys you can make 3 games with Zelda and Link,
Right.
but that's it,
So
and we want nothing to do with
funny that you
this."
mentioned about how much of a failure it is because I remember when you initially told me that you were playing this and that it was on the CDI. I was fresh off the press from hitting the fucking order button on a Dreamcast. So the first thing, of course, that I did was look up how much CDI goes for. They're expensive at the moment.
Oh yeah, they
The ones I
were
was looking
expensive
at,
when they first came out.
in decent condition, were like $200 to $300 for a CDI. You know what else was another commercial failure and is shockingly expensive? The 3DO. You remember the 3DO?
I don't even know what that is.
Not many people do,
recognize
but
the
it's like
name.
$500 or $600. You can buy an Xbox. You can buy a Project or a Series X, or you could buy a 3DO.
I quite enjoyed the game.
Good.
They definitely, like I said, they definitely improved on the main idea that Zelda games were going for.
Mhm. That is definitely a realm that I'd like to kind of weasel my way down a little more, find out more about. Is the realm of demakes and the realm of homebrew games that are still being released on ridiculously old hardware.
Um, remind me, there's a video I need to send you. Somebody deconstructed a N64 game and made a 4-player like co-op like hack and slash game, and it's on like the original like NES cartridge. I think I said 64. It's,
Okay.
NES.
Oh boy.
Jeez.
But yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, that's pretty much my game wrapped up.
Dalton
Yeah,
just linked me
Yeah,
on
really
eBay
quick. Yeah.
two 3DOs and a pretty large library for $1,500. Listen, to be fair, I don't need all the games because you guys know me. I'm gonna find a way to shove either an SD card or a hard drive in it somewhere. They're pretty pieces of hardware. I mean, they're ugly by today's standards, but like as far as retro hardware goes, it's pretty.
I mean, the Philips CDI looks like a VCR player. Well, I mean, it was a
Have
DVD
either
player basically,
have
but
either of you seen the? I don't know if it's for you, but under similar items, the Panasonic GameCube. Have you guys seen that before?
No.
Panasonic had a GameCube?
It is a Japanese release only. It's in similar. It is it's you just have to say it. That is a GameCube. Partnered by fucking Nintendo and Panasonic.
Oh, it's called the Panasonic Q.
And it was a look. You should look at the IO on the back.
What in the shit am I looking at?
It was for DVDs. It was a home theater system, if I remember correctly. But it also, yes, it was also a GameCube. But the big thing about it had a
That's
yeah.
funky looking.
Yeah, you guys really kind of went down. You guys like natively went down the oddball route for
No,
for
you
your segments today.
My holy grail, the thing that I want like that, and it's not even that expensive. I just have neglected all hell and back to pull the trigger on it. Is the Japanese Ocean Blue PlayStation 2. This is like my holy grail item, and what's sad is that it's cheap to the point where it really shouldn't be a holy grail, but it's so pretty.
Oh yeah, I've seen these. These are awesome.
So pretty.
Remember when like Apple computers and stuff were like these crazy, like transparent, like bright colored plastic cases?
Oh yeah.
Can we go?
Mhm.
Can we go back to that?
Yeah. You know what I have a fascination with that I own nothing of that I would love to? Prison things. Just prison electronics. I'd love to get a hold of a prison CRT. The clear, how they're all clear plastic, like crystal
Mhm.
clear plastic. Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah. All right. So
At
if we
first,
don't,
I thought you said prison.
Say what?
Prism.
At first, I thought you said prison.
Yeah, no, I did
Like
say
No, he
prison.
did. He said prison. No, you heard
Prison
him.
electronics.
Yeah, you heard him right.
Yeah.
Like jail. Yeah.
Like jail
Jail,
electronics.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you guys were like trying to like gaslight me here. I was
No,
like,
no, 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 no. No, that's
What?
actually what he said. Because they had to make that kind of stuff clear because you can hide shit in it.
Yeah. Now, what's wild is like
you guys are gaslighting me now.
No, prison. Like behind bars, they had CRT TVs that had
What-
clear casings. That way you
just
could
hap-
see through them. He's actually where no one's gaslighting you.
what
John
would I
is
be gaslighting you about? What's happening?
I thought, okay,
Okay.
I thought you were saying prism like a crystal, like
Yeah.
because crystals are clear and you
Oh,
can see through
Oh.
them. So
sorry.
when you
When
said
you
prison,
No.
oh
yeah, like
Inmate,
blew my
'cause
mind.
oh, no. I'm so
So we just misheard you is what happened.
Yes.
That's funny.
God damn it.
Oh shoot. All right, well if nobody has anything else, I can go ahead and hop into
Do
my
it.
game. It's up to
Do
y'all.
it!
Yeah, shoot.
Just do it!
Okay, Shia, Jesus.
That's the ramp up that you wanted before the episode. It just
Yeah,
came
that was
out.
the pep I needed, yeah. About an hour too late, but we got there. So for my segment, I went a much different direction like I generally do, because I tend to stick to games that it came out well after I was born and not well before. I opted to do a comp shooter that has been quite on. It's been quite on the rise recently. What?
I'm sorry, I have to excuse you. Excuse me. A what? A cop shooter?
Comp. Competitive.
Got you.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So no. So I chose to do a competitive John shooter.
Oh, I know what you're playing. Why would I ask that? Well, listen, it's kind of a cop shooter.
Oh my god.
You know, he's not wrong.
This segment's dead. This is over. This is it. Cut all of this. This is terrible.
What'd you play, Dalton?
I'm restarting.
Yeah, that's good because it's not getting cut.
Oh, great. All right, so for my segment, I chose an FPS game that recently has been on the rise across like social media, on YouTube, on Twitch, streaming videos, what have you. I chose to play Rainbow Six Siege, and I put a good chunk of time into it. So Rainbow Six Siege was published and developed by Ubisoft. However, it was their Montreal division that was responsible for the actual development of the game. And it released December 1st, 2015 on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And then I think later in 2018 is when it got ported to, I think it was Stadia, because everyone plays fucking Stadia. And then obviously at some point got a like a next gen update to be fully compatible and supported by like Series X and PS5. So a couple quick things. I had played a little bit on PlayStation when it first released, but everything that I'm going to be talking about today generally revolves around the time that I've played in the past month or so. So it was all on PC is what I played on, because I had rented it, I think, from like Family Video or something when it first came out, and played it for like 30 minutes. Well, this was in 2015. Family
Well,
Video
yeah,
still
no.
existed.
I'm sure you picked up on my face. Yeah, no, that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, my brain broke. I forgot
Yeah.
that times change and things are different with time. And the way you said that, my brain broke with I rented a life service game. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Continue.
No, yeah. So I had originally played it on PlayStation, and then later on, now, since having done it for this episode, put a bunch of time in on PC. And also, whenever playing any competitive shooters, I generally wasn't even. I didn't sink too much time into like getting good at them or going super crazy with them. And this one's no different, but I'll get into that a little bit later, because I haven't had the chance to play ranked at all. And because with the new season, it reset a bunch of things, including like your ranks. It reset not your account level, but I think they had. I don't know if they had a battle pass before now, but there's like different battle pass system, and the way that they let you do ranked has changed since I first started playing. And like I said, I'll get into it a bit later, because it's actually something that I would love to go on a very passionate rant about. But I'll save that for the end, because I feel like that'll be a funny note to end on. So a little bit about the game overall for those who haven't played it. It's a tactical FPS centered around team play, abilities, and gadgets, where operators have different abilities and fight to either defend a bomb site or plant a diffuser to defuse the bomb. So for most of these types of shooters, it's normally like there's a bomb site or there's a site where you plant a bomb, And this game, it's kind of flipped on its head where the people that are the defenders are kind of like, because you have like terrorist, counter-terrorist type
Yeah, it's
dynamics.
very on the surface. It's it's very CS:GO-y.
Yeah, except it's flipped in reverse where the defenders are defending bombs that are meant to go off, and then the attackers are the terrorist team at plant, or sorry, no, the attackers are the good guys trying to plant a diffuser in the bomb site. So it flips it backwards
Right.
in a interesting way. It just flips the dynamics in kind of a cool way. But and then one other thing regarding the actual mechanics outside of operators and gadgets and like the maps and things. Bomb sites and attackers spawn points are chosen by player. So there's normally 3 or 4 different bomb sites to choose from per round, and then there's 3 or 4 different spawn points. For bomb sites, I think you can pick each one twice before you have to rotate to a different one. So most maps, it's like a basement, a first story, and then a second story. And there's normally 2 separate bomb sites per each of those, except for I think the basement and the first floor normally only have 1. And then the second story normally has 2. So what you can do is you can pick one second story, then the other second story, then you can have to move down to the first floor or the basement, whichever way you want to do it. Generally, there's strategies and things that go along with that. But that just depends on if you're playing with people you know, or as opposed to playing with randoms or solo queuing, what have you. But an additional part of that I haven't experienced, because like I said, I haven't done ranked yet, is certain maps and operators can be banned before the start of the game. So
Mm.
they'll give you a pool of like 4 maps, and then the teams can vote on which map they might want to ban. Or it's probably, I think it's more than 4. I don't know the actual logistics of it. And then
Right.
same with operators. Each team can ban up to 2 operators where um like one team will pick one, and then the next team will pick 2, and then the first team will pick their last one again. So it's like 1, 2, 2, 1. And
Right, and
so
the idea for that is obviously comes from, like, MLG gaming and stuff like that,
yeah, 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 yeah. Because
where
there's like
teams where
certain.
yeah, where you're ideally you're working with your team and you know you're not gonna ban your strengths, you're trying to throw off your enemy, the other team, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and there's obviously parts of these types of games that have to do with like there are certain operators that might be more in the meta than some others, and same with maps. There are certain maps that are just like easier to read than others and easier to play around than others.
Mhm.
But that's generally the basic mechanics of the game, and I've been pretty fortunate with my experience playing so far because, like I said, I played a little bit when it first released, but um, for all the time that I've spent playing it on Steam on PC, I got a few friends together, and well, it was one friend, and then he had a couple other buddies that had started getting back into it. Because, like I said, this game has kind of been coming back up on the rise again. With there's like a couple big streamers. There's a guy named Jinxie that averages like almost 100K viewers regularly on
Mhm.
Twitch, and he plays it nonstop, and he's like crazy, crazy good, and does like coaching and whatnot. And uh, he's like definitely elevated the level of or the scope of this game as far as its exposure to audiences and whatnot. But I was fortunate enough that a bunch of other people that I knew were also playing it as well. So once I got into it, I was just 5 stacking and queuing with them the whole time. And so I had a good time because I was able to sort of like bounce off of them and learn. Oh, just fucking punch my microphone, but bounce off of them and learn like strategies, and they helped me learn the maps a bit faster, figure out what operators I might want to work towards, because you don't have all of them unlocked from the start. You have to unlock them as you go unless you pay more money. But I didn't really see the point in that if they give you in-game currency that you can eventually rack up to get all the operators. So I
Right.
figured I would just unlock the most useful ones first,
Mhm.
and then eventually I can kind of work on completing the collection. But yeah, they definitely helped me sort of acclimate to the game and the overall environment, because like I said, like I've played CS:GO, but I haven't gotten like super diehard into any of these types of shooters. And I really still, even now, having put some time into it, I still want to get to that point with this game. It's just really digging into it and getting
Right.
to a point where I'm comfortable with it. It is honestly has taken a lot of my attention away from Destiny, which has been really interesting. I haven't really touched Destiny in the past like week or two, and I just now realized that next reset is when Guardian Games ends, and there's definitely no way that I'm finishing the title. So here we are. Final note on my sort of take of the game. A lot of my skill, because I don't have map knowledge or game knowledge or anything, has been solely from aim and just like my ability to aim at targets, which I have figured out according to the guys that I've been playing with. And granted, none of them are like Rainbow Six pros or anything. Like, no, we're not going to any like league to compete in tournaments.
They're not elite gamers.
Yeah, like they're like most of us are just like your average dudes that just want to play a competitive shooter with everybody and try and see how high we can get in the rankings.
Yeah.
But they have commented on and complimented my ability to aim, and I've noticed that I actually am not too terrible at the game. If I just knew the maps better and had better strategies and could like coordinate strategies with my team a little better, we'd probably do pretty good, and I'd be able to be a bit more useful. But there are a lot of things that I haven't been able to figure out just yet as far as that is concerned, because like, yeah, my map and game knowledge is it is shit. Like a lot of them that I play with, they're able to like look at an operator, know exactly who it is, know their name, like the name of the operator,
yeah.
and then the other people, once they like, one of them is named I think Azumi, and Azumi has an ability to set up a trapdoor, like a laser focused trapdoor in front of barriers and things. So as soon as they hear, oh, there's an Azumi in this game, they immediately know we have to watch out for Azumi traps, or we have to watch out for Azumi barriers, or same with like Capcan. And I know Capcan because he's a fucking weird looking operator. But anytime that they call out like, hey, there's Capcan in this game, watch out. And I know to watch out for Capcan traps. Or like Kavera, I know that there's probably going to be somebody roaming with stealth, so you're not going to be able to see him, so you got to be more mindful of a lot of that stuff. So there's certain ones that I've been able to identify as we've went, just because they're more popular operators.
Right.
But there's definitely still, I have a long way to go as far as like knowledge and maps and game mechanics and those like nuances and things as part of those games. But sorry, I rambled for a little bit. What do you guys
No,
want to
you're
input?
you're fine.
So-
I was gonna say that I remember you sent me a screen, or you sent me a picture of your desk for some reason. I can't remember what it was, but I remember essentially screen sniping you and calling you out for playing Doc. So I want to know who you've actually been playing as lately. 'Cause
Okay, yeah.
I have a decently long history with Siege. I love Siege. I just haven't played it in the past couple of years.
Yeah, here. Let me look up.
So I started playing Siege when they still had like the original like 7 operators.
Yeah,
There's like 25 now, and
yeah.
I
There's a lot.
don't. I'm scared to get back into that game.
Oh,
I remember.
there's more than 25. I think there are, it's like 17 and on one side, 18 on the other side.
That's wild.
That's again, that's not. Ugh.
Yeah. Thatcher, I played as Thatcher a lot. I played as Tuchanka until they fucking nerfed my guy hardcore.
Never mind, there's 63. There's 63.
60?
There's 63.
63 operator. How many seasons?
Is it something that you're gonna be sticking with for a hot minute? You think, or
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I'll buy it on Steam then, because the only reason I didn't is because I already have a copy that's like pretty high level shit on PC, or on Xbox rather.
They're going crossplay at some point.
When is
Yes,
that, though?
yeah. So, well, here we can get into that a little bit later, because that is part of my rant, because
Okay.
there's a caveat there. So, but yeah, I definitely do think it's something that I'm gonna sink a lot more time into, just because it's a fun game, and it's the first time that I've been able to just like sit down with a group of people and
Right.
all of us be on the same page of like, hey, let's try and get really good at this game and just fucking see what happens. So, and I've also been streaming it a decent chunk as well, so that's been fun.
It's one of those ones where I download it a couple times a year and stare at it on my hard drive and then delete it because I don't really
Yeah.
have people to play with. And to be completely fair, if I wanted to run around with a bunch of randoms that don't know what the fuck they're doing and have no idea of any team planning or anything, I'll play Call of Duty or Battlefield.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the more arcade shooters fill that
Yeah,
space a bit
it's
better.
definitely a game where like you genuinely get joy out of like crawling and moving slow and stacking up and huddling up against a door frame and discussing with the guy behind you, like, do you want to skip this door or should we go ahead and clear this room, or do you want to come back to it later? Because I really don't think they're
Yeah.
in here. And it's like a 30-second conversation, and you're like, all right, no, it's a good point. We might as well clear the room. It leads into another room. We don't have to clear that room, but let's go ahead and get this one out of the way, and then we can circle around and clear the other side of it when we go by. The second you open the door, somebody's dropping fucking grenades through a hole in the ceiling. Like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's not, and you're pissed off that you died, but you get a lot of joy out of just sitting there and like formulating a plan with people.
Mhm.
I was real big on like the Vegas series of Rainbow Six games for that exact
Oh, okay.
reason.
Yeah.
Vegas
Yeah.
was phenomenal for that stuff. Yeah, no, but who have you been playing as?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot there was like a whole.
You're good.
I had looked up the operators, being like, oh shoot, I don't remember half of these, so I need to figure out what the hell. Um. So I just recently purchased Cali because I like the sort of sniper play style of like hard peeking angles in that way. Honestly, I'm not even sure if you guys might know some of these because some of these are
There's a large chunk of them I won't know.
okay. So Callie, her main ability is a sniper that you can also shoot little like sonic beams. I don't know what they're called. But the idea is you shoot them at a wall and say there's like a gadget on the other side of the wall. It can like incapacitate that gadget for a certain period of time. And I think for some of them, it'll destroy them as well. But her main weapon is a sniper rifle, and her secondary, I think you can either get a semi-auto pistol or like a full auto, like a CZ pistol, like a full auto
Okay,
CZ.
yeah. She looks like a more clear version of Ghost from MGS5.
Oh, okay. Kavera, I've played quite a bit. She's probably been my main, other than Doc. She's been one of my main
Okay,
defender ones. Doc and Rook, just because since I'm not super useful in like the player side, like the team play side,
right.
having me play Doc or Rook means that I can either just like drop plates, that way everybody has a little bit of extra hit points, or
Right.
heal people when they need it, as long as I'm not
Okay.
the first one dead, which happens more often than not.
Does Siege has, they still have terrorist hunts, don't they? They still have T hunts? They didn't at launch, but I thought they put
I don't even know what that is, I'll be honest.
T hunts was a Rainbow Six Vegas game mode where you and up to three other operatives would go through a map of varying sizes. You had like small, medium, and large size maps, and then you had like
Mhm.
easy, medium, and hard difficulty. So like a small hard difficulty would be like a small map on hard difficulty with the most terrorists, so it may have like 20, but more can
Mhm.
fit in a big map. So a large hard difficulty T hunt in Vegas may be like Calypso Casino, for example, which is a big map, but there may be 120 terrorists that you'll have to take out. And
Mhm.
it's all about you and your three operatives essentially crawling through the map as stealthily as possible, trying to take out all of the terrorists on the map without them raising an alarm, because they're if you alerted a group, everybody in that room may turn their guns on you, but if they fire too many shots, the whole fucking map will come for you. Stealth's really big, and I thought that they added T hunts to Siege, but I may be completely mistaken.
As far as I know, I haven't seen anything about that.
Removed. T hunts removed. They removed it. Oh,
Oh,
you're on Daulton. Never mind. Oh, that was only 4 months ago too.
I was looking up a list of all the current operators, and I know more of them than I thought. I stopped playing around the year two update, which was like February 7th, 2017 to March 6th, 2018. But
mhm.
they have like I said, it's a full list of all of them, and yeah, I don't know any of these characters.
Yeah, like where does your I think they might have them in some sort of order. Do you know oh, they have okay, so in the actual Rainbow Six page on Ubisoft's site,
On the
they're
wiki.
actually they're in yeah, here, I'll send you. It's like it's a full list of the
Like
operators.
The last ones that I know are
But
Jackal,
they're in
Mira,
reverse.
Ying. Oh, reverse.
Yeah, the ones that I just sent, they're in reverse release order.
Oh, okay, I see. So I know Capcan, Tachanka, Glaz, Fuse, IQ, Blitz, Bandit, Jaeger, Rook, Doc, Twitch, Montague, Thermite, Pulse, Castle, Ash, Thatcher, Smoke, Sledge, Mute, Frost, Buck, Valkyrie, Blackbeard, Capteo, Caveira, Echo, don't remember, no Jackal.
Echo and Habana were released together.
Okay.
Same with Jackal and Mira.
Okay, so I know Jackal, but that may be because I popped in for a little bit to play. But after
Mm.
that, I don't know any of them. Except weirdly enough, Warden, Nomad. I know Nomad. Knock. Yeah, yeah. That's wow. Yeah,
Yeah, and there's a lot more on that list after those.
Amaru. I know Amaru for some reason.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Fuse, Mute, and Thatcher were like my go-to characters.
Yeah, yeah. I played.
Those are like all like the first gen characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I played Fuse, Jaeger, and Tuchanka. I think Ash was probably my main of mains. To be fair.
Yeah, if I had to go through this list, I would say Pulse, Ash, Capcan, Doc and Rook, Mute, Buck, Caveira, and then scrolling further up, Dokkaebi, Finka, Lion, Callie. I think those are about
Any of our
where mine.
any of our listeners who have no idea what we're talking about, trust me, I don't either.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of operators, and I've enjoyed learning a lot of them. But it really is just from reading that list, you can tell that it's a pretty daunting game to try and like sink yourself into, because there's just so much from a new player perspective that you have to learn. I feel like I'm going through like a Destiny-ism all over again. Because when I started Destiny on D2 during Lightfall, the most recent expansion, I was like, fuck, I don't know what anything is. I don't know what's going on. There's so much shit and so much I have to learn. Except in this game, everything's still in the game to learn. So I can still access all of it. No slight to that.
That's funny that I said Ash was probably my main of mains. I just took their little quiz as to who I should play as, and it's Ash.
Yeah. Ash can be pretty common, especially if you play like a quick entry type of play
Yeah,
style.
she's easy to play. I mean, she's just move quick, aim, and shoot. There's not much.
Yeah, very very simple. Yeah. But
now I'm gonna see my go.
Now that we've had a lovely conversation regarding some of the more positive things, I have two extreme gripes that make me absolutely fuming mad.
Okay. Oh wow.
And one of them we had talked on a little bit when Cameron brought up crossplay, which I'll get to. But the first one, it's short and sweet. To play actual competitive ranked mode, you have to be a level 50 on your account. And I know that it didn't used to be this way because I had played ranked before they had like overhauled the system. And so I have about 50 hours that I have put into this in the past month. And I am only a level 35.
Get good.
And this isn't like me losing games all the time or doing terrible. Like I'm probably playing about at the middle of the pack.
Right. You're grinding.
Yeah. And still after 50 hours, I have not reached the rank in which I would need to play competitive. And I understand to some level, like you should lock out early players from playing ranked because then they're just going to get stomped and they're going to leave the damn game. But for someone who actually wants to get into it and take the game seriously and has been grinding for a certain amount of time, it doesn't make any sense to have such an aggressive lockout mechanism when somebody is like taking the time to learn operators, to learn the maps, to learn playstyle, and is constantly stacking with people who are also trying to help them get to that point. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
So
I just wanna play ranked because
so
because part of these games, the fun in it for me is seeing how high I can go in my skill level. Also, the standard game mode that's unranked is an absolute disaster.
right. You
I
remember when
because it's so skewed in like because you can have brand new people hop in, or you can have people that have played the game for 2,000 hours be in the exact same lobby. And then you just have really good people and really good teams absolutely shitting on brand new players. And there's nothing that you can do to combat it either way.
right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Siege has a fairly large and very successful MLG scene, does it not?
Oh yeah, their comp scene. I don't know if it's particularly MLG, but their esports scene
Well,
is quite.
you got to remember, I come from a generation where like MLG didn't exist, so I'm gonna be the old fucker here. Everything that's pro is MLG. I
Yeah.
do
Well,
understand that there's
yeah, no,
different leagues and shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, I just call it esports.
Right.
That's an easy way to that's
Yeah.
an easier blanket term. But their esports team, their esports scene and like the events that they host is pretty expansive. It's probably up there. It's just maybe not to the same level, but like with like Counter Strike, Rocket
Right.
League.
Yeah. But then even counter even like even with Counter Strike, CS:GO or CS2 now, there's no lockout on their ranked. You can just fucking jump in. I mean, the lockout is that if you do trash, you're gonna fucking hear about it and it's gonna be brutal. But
I think I think there might be some lockout in a certain way. I think generally I think you have to be like rank 10 or something.
really,
I think you have to like,
when I used to play,
have an
you
account
just
rank
jump
10.
into it. So.
Yeah. I see, but
But
that was the thing
But
with
I do know, I do
CS.
remember if you were bad, like you got shat on
Yep,
hard.
that's true.
even even just talking about sieges like ranked, it's like I could understand them having like a certain lockout just so you understand the core mechanics of the game.
Right.
But then when you actually go into ranked, they match you with people based on your rank. So like if you're doing bad, you're going to constantly play with people who are
That are
bad.
bad, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I don't know why they have it like, hey, you have to be level 50, and then if by then you still don't know what you're doing,
Well, see,
good luck.
see that
Yeah, right.
I've never understood the whole like lockout, especially with something with or with hero shooters in general. I've never understood the level requirements for lockout for ranked because Siege isn't the only game that does it. But
Right.
I think a smarter thing would do if you want to play ranked, right? So one of the one of the core concepts of playing ranked is it's not about you, it's about the team, right?
Right, yeah.
Unless you're playing it like a fucking one, you're playing Lone Wolves in Halo or some shit. It's about the team, and the team has to work as a team. I always thought it would be a better idea to you're not allowed to play ranked unless you've shown conviction and you've shown that you actually know how to properly use like unlock it per operator, right? Like you have to hit all the goals and check all the boxes for this operator, and then you can play that operator in ranked.
Yeah,
And then
I
like
can maybe see
maybe
what you're talking about
yeah.
there.
And then of course, some operators get banned, other people choose them, yada yada yada. You can't go into ranked until you are a proficiency. You unlock your proficiency until you're proficient in like 5 operators, right? And
Yeah.
by no means does a proficiency need to take like 10 hours for a fucking operator.
Sure,
Just like
sure.
you have to show that you know what you're doing tactfully. Like,
Yeah,
you're not
I
just
think
running and gunning. Like
yeah.
100 kills using, or not, maybe not 100. Well, this is a bad idea, but like 25 kills using Fuse's fucking grenade drill, right? To show that like you actually fucking know how to use the grenade drill in the right situation. You know
Mhm.
what I
So they
mean?
do actually they have something kind of like that, not it's not tethered to ranked specifically, but they have like an operator challenges tab where
Mhm.
you can actually do certain things to unlock certain operators, and then once you unlock the like one is for I want to say it was thermite. It was like you had to hard breach 3 reinforced walls. And then
Right.
if you did that, then you unlocked thermite. And then once you got thermite, you had to do like these particular challenges with thermite, which helps you understand the operator and sort of like what.
I think that once you knock all those off the board, I think that would be the perfect segue into being allowed to take that opera. I think casual play, unranked,
Mhm.
you can use whoever the fuck you want.
Mhm.
But I feel like with something like ranked, you should just have to show proficiency in that particular operator or that hero in order to go forth and do it.
So
Hmm.
I somewhat agree, but I think the best way to approach that might not necessarily be with operators, just because they do have the 50 some odd operators that I did say.
Right.
And even if you're focusing on just 5 of them, it's gonna be hard to find a combination of people where you can select those. I think it should be more based on the amount of time that you play a map, and I think it should be map specific.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
in ranked, I don't know if this is necessarily the case in Rainbow Six, but I know in like CS, you can queue for specific maps or a
Right.
specific grouping of maps. So I think what they should have you do is have like a certain amount of games, even if it could be like just 10 games. Like allow people to just queue into a certain grouping of maps. And then once they have mastered like four maps, enough
Mhm.
that if each team bans a map, you still have 2 other maps to go off of, or if one side gets to ban a map, there's still 3 others to choose from, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah,
So
the other aspect that I was looking at it that way is it kind of kind of forces you to choose your style of play. You're not gonna shovel through, I don't know, take Doc for example, right? Or any of the more support class. You're not gonna shovel through 15 hours of showing that you're proficient in a support class if you don't like playing support. It's gonna force
mhm,
you to realize what you will actually be useful participating as, and then like funnel you down that route. Now, obviously, you can always come back and do it later. You're like, actually, support does kind of sound fun, so I'm gonna go work on that. But no,
mhm.
I completely understand where you're coming from. Cameron wanted to say something like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So just not to like not to like dig down into another whole game here, but like Overwatch, the reason I got good with Mercy and Zenyatta, basically all the healers,
Mm-hmm.
is because when I played competitive, this was back in like Overwatch 1, which is technically dead now, it's just Overwatch
Right.
2. Anyway, when I played competitive, no one wanted to play healer. So I got good as a healer because you need a healer in that
Right,
game.
and you were fucking probably
So
god tier for it too, weren't you?
yeah,
Exactly,
I was
yep,
pretty good until they completely changed how the characters worked.
right. So, what were you gonna say about crossplay? Should I save the $19 or spend the
Oh,
$19?
okay. So originally when I said I didn't outright tell Cameron I was doing this game for the episode, I don't think, but I did say that I was trying to play it again. And we had looked into how crossplay worked by researching, seeing if like any of the game devs or Ubisoft as a whole had said anything regarding whether or not there was meant to be crossplay. Because what we had done is we were like, oh, it uses Ubisoft. So if we sign in through like our Ubisoft Connect account, that in theory should allow us to become friends with each other, see that each other's playing, and then go from there. So we did all that, and he was on his Xbox, I was on my computer, and it showed that we were both online in game. So we were like, okay, this should be easy. Then it prompts you and allows you to invite each other to a game. So you'd think, oh, they must have crossplay. And then it would just say, like, user is not joinable in this instance. And it would just give you an error and just pretty much just tell you to go fuck yourself. So I did some research and I looked through it. And the only thing recently that exists regarding crossplay is that there is crossplay between console to console, so PlayStation and Xbox, but
Right,
there is not any crossplay to PC because of mouse and keyboard compared to controller.
and if they're gonna be as stingy about getting into ranked matches as they are, they're not gonna fuck with that on any,
Well,
like
here's the thing about that is they made an announcement relatively recently. I don't remember. I think Cameron and I were looking it up, and there was like a recent announcement that a developer had made that announced that crossplay was coming to Rainbow Six. However, the way they were doing it is if you were playing on console, on controller,
Mhm.
you had to join into PC lobbies, into mouse and keyboard lobbies if you wanted to play with mouse and keyboard players. Like with your friends, if somebody was playing on PC, they would invite you to a lobby as a console player. You would join their party and then you guys would queue up for a game. However, unless the other team was paired with was partied with other console players, you are exclusively playing against PC mouse and keyboard. So you would be the one controller player
out of 10 people.
out of 10 people. Yeah.
And for someone like me, I wouldn't give a shit about that because I'm there to have fun. And of course, if we're playing ranked, I'm probably going to do it on a computer. But well, how do they handle the fuck if I'm using this while I'm playing on PC? How do they handle controller players on PC then?
I think it just I think it does the same thing. I think you'll only play against mouse and keyboard
That's
players.
so fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big competitive player anyway, but I can understand why people do it because everybody's different. They have their own interests and goals that they chase. But I've never been one personally to really get fussy over mouse and keyboard and controller and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
I'm dog shit with FPSs with the controller or with the mouse. I understand the controller comes with auto aim to some sort. And I also understand that controller players are often the first ones to die when pitted against PC players, but I'll play with either. I personally, it's never bothered me. I'm just there.
Yeah. I think there's like I think people that are really good with either aren't going to have much of an issue.
Right.
Because they are good with their respective input. I think that there are obvious advantages to both. Like you said, a controller has some amount of what is that? Aim assist. Aim assist. Yeah. Yeah, they have some level of aim assist that makes it a little bit easier to be able to map onto targets. But then mouse and keyboard, you have the fact that your right hand is exclusively responsible for looking and shooting, and your left hand does literally everything else. So the only thing your right hand is responsible for is getting into gunfights and making sure that your aim is there. So the fact that they're so separate and so isolated makes it a lot easier to sort of multitask. Where a lot of people that have gotten around it on controller is using like scuff controllers that have extra paddles on the back of your grips. That way you don't have to move any of your fingers to like jump or reload or any of those. And then your top fingers are just for the triggers and your hands are just for movement.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So yeah, I definitely don't think that I don't think there's any reason that they shouldn't have crossplay. I think games in this era all should come with some level of cross play support unless you opt out of it. If you opt out of it, then you'll only play with people who have also opted out of it.
I agree with that.
But the thing is, almost no one opts out of it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that viewpoint. Especially we're pretty console exclusives, PC exclusives have almost never been a thing unless it's like indie titles and stuff like that. And even most of those come to consoles nowadays, but AAA games especially, they're not just limited to, you're not getting the Xbox for the Xbox game very much anymore. You're not grabbing the PlayStation for the PlayStation game very much anymore. At least when it comes to multiplayer games, they typically release on everything because of what we talked about in one of our previous episodes about, moving away from the console exclusivity market and trying to get your thing out there for as many people to buy. It doesn't make any sense if the game isn't restricted to a console or a platform. It doesn't make any sense to restrict the gameplay to that platform either, and a lot of people are finally starting to understand that. So I completely agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, Cameron, you got anything that you want to add before we wrap all this up, or?
I'm just waiting for Seige to become crossplay with PC because I was kind of bent out of shape. I couldn't play with you. I was kind of hyped up. I reinstalled that game and sat there and tried to troubleshoot it, and it was like, oh, just can't play.
Yeah, I don't care. Even I know I have the PC, but even if I am playing controller against a bunch of keyboard and mouse, I'd love to get together with the three of you and play. So I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no. Once they actually announce that is a thing, we will for sure have to report back in a later episode and sort of rehash our experience playing it all. All right. So nothing else to add. Any comments, concerns, questions, haiku?
I do not have any haiku for you. I was trying to remember, actually, Sarah and I were trying to remember what the hell a haiku was. We never did look it up, but I was trying to remember how many syllables. It was like 5 something.
575.
575.
575.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Completely off tangent, but your pillow in the background, John, reminded me because I saw it earlier today. The D&D one, the D&D one. Yes. Lego has announced a D&D set.
Ooh, well, that's something I
So.
want.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was completely random, but
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Well, to wrap it up, thank you to all that have listened and heard our hilarious stories about our adventures with our games this week. Couple wrap up housekeeping things. So if you would like to send us any emails, I'm not going to fuck this up again this time, and I'm going to read it the way that it needs to be read. If you would like to send us emails, it is mail@doortodoorgaming.com. Remember, that is the number 2, not the word 2. And then you can also check us out at our website, doortodoorgaming.com. Again, that is the number 2. Our next bonus quarterly is going to be Halo Combat Evolved, which is a game that I will be new to, but the other two are very familiar with the Halo franchise in general, but specifically this game as well. And if you would like to get your emails in before May 19th, that will guarantee both you guys a chance to get them in on time and for us to get a chance to respond to them. And then for our next regular episode, our emails will need to be in by the 26th. So if there's anything that you want regarding our next episode or our next bonus episode, make sure that you get those in on those times. That way we can fit them into the segments. So as far as what you can find on our site, we've got a list of all the games that we've done, all of our previous episodes, all of the places you can listen to our episodes on, and then some more info on about us personally and a few other little quips and tidbits there. So, as part of our random games segment or our random topics segment at the beginning of the episode, we do actually have to spin for the next segment. Am I the one spinning for this? Am I spinning?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I've got a D20 roll pulled up on Google here. So we got 19 topics, and then the last one is a dealer's choice. I will be spinning for this, and let's do it. All right, so we spun a 4, meaning that next episode, god damn it.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking
can't
about
remember.
emulation, which is
You can-
something that
You can be
this-
honest. We're going to be listening to John talk about.
John, it's just John's
Yeah.
episode.
So the episode is going to be an extra 45 minutes. So be prepared. Whatever this is, add at least an hour. So yeah, so next episode, that topic is going to be emulation for our little bonus topic at the beginning. So if you guys want to send in any for this the next regular episode, if you want to send any questions regarding emulation or just any like personal tidbits, anecdotes, what have you about that, then feel free. So yeah, anything you guys want to add, what your plans are for next bit? What about any games that you're currently going through, any of that?
I've been trying to get back into Helldivers, to be completely honest with you. I didn't fall out of it. It's like a drug. I'm like Chappelle itching for cocaine, man. But I just every time I go to sit down, I don't click play for some fucking reason.
Yeah, I've been really trying to get back around to the to the heroin,
Yeah. But no, as far as
It
games
comes and
I'm
goes.
playing, an almost nightly thing, as long as the family's here. My partner Sarah and two of our, I'm gonna really fucking either age myself to the listeners or like really ruin my fucking, I don't know. Two of our 6 kids and my partner and myself sit down and we play Lethal Company, which is a indie game
Nice.
that came out fairly recently on PC and is just it's not a gaming segment, but look it up. It's fun, especially if you have people to play with. That's what we've been doing on a fairly regular basis. And put it in perspective, the 2 kids that play with us are fucking 12 and like 11, so there's plenty of stupidity that fucking goes on. The 12-year-old, we play modded, right? So the 12-year-old recently added like just the biggest of big boob mods to the game, and
Oh,
just
no.
it's fun. That's what's been going on with me, man.
That is so funny. What
Yeah.
about you, Cameron?
So obviously, I have I have a PS5, Xbox Series X, and a Nintendo Switch. Um, so if I'm like ever on Xbox and you guys are playing Helldivers, let me know. I'll switch over to consoles. Um, but sticking with retro new games, I've already bought the next game for the next episode. So
Ooh, teaser,
Nice.
teaser.
Sweet.
Right
Hell
on.
yeah.
Oh, to anybody that is, if you are lucky enough to listen to this at least the year that it comes out, the entire Command and Conquer franchise just came to Steam, and I picked that up and have been obsessed with it as well. So picked the whole thing up for it's like 17 games for like $6 or
Oh,
something.
quick random thing, I guess, for me with the Steam Spring Sale. I bought the Call of Duty franchise collection.
Oh yeah,
So I now
I,
own every Call of Duty with every single DLC that's ever existed since 2001.
Big Red 1 was that was my first Call of Duty game. Big
Was
Red.
it 2001?
I
Sorry,
saw you playing
2003.
I saw you playing World War II last night. I was like,
Yep.
oh, like I love that one. And I tried to play.
Yeah.
I was like, is it crossplay? No. I was like, oh.
That is really
So
random considering I sent you the Black Ops Zombies soundtrack the other day.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was insane, is because I had just bought it the night before and I had just installed Black Ops 1 the night before, but I hadn't played any zombies yet. So then I was like,
Right.
whoa. Yeah, there was like a meta moment.
Yeah.
All right. So as part of this, we all have our hosts, and they generally are chosen by the current host. And so now it is time for me to go next. What just happened?
You make your decision. It's fine. Don't worry about
Listeners, I'm being
Please.
threatened. This is me blinking twice.
it.
Okay, so it's really that aside, and I'm not expounding on anything that just happened. Y'all are just gonna this will just be in, and John will just be the undoer of worlds. I was gonna pick John as the next host anyways. But
I was
the
gonna say,
set
at this point, I'm scared. So it is John.
yeah, this setup entirely fell apart because okay, so being real though, the reason that I did
Yeah.
pick you was when you were going over your game, you brought up a lot. One,
God.
both of you did this. You
Ugh.
brought up two consoles that I never have interacted with, I've never owned, but you also both had some cool tidbits. I mainly, John, I just thought you explaining your game was quite funny, and the way that you were talking about like the archaic controls and just like the way that the story was good but stupid and awesomely bad. It was my sort of like
Right.
the reason that I sort of appreciate some things when it comes to video games is like I'm never a proponent of like so bad that it's good, because I think that's a really weird and dumb way to categorize some things. But you approached it in a lighter and
Yeah.
more like joyous way than
The only way I can describe it in a way that would make sense, like the so bad it's good thing, is like train wrecks are bad, right? But you can't exactly look away from them. And god damn it, when you go to work tomorrow, you're gonna have a fucking story to tell, right?
Yeah, that's probably the grimmest way you could possibly categorize that.
No, it's not an Amtrak. There's no people on it. It's fine.
Oh, okay, good.
all right.
It was
So,
it was only the
It
conductor.
wasn't in a
It's
town
fine.
in rural Ohio. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
All right. Well, on that
Thank
note,
you. I
thank you.
am appreciative.
Yeah. On that note, thank you all so much for listening. I'm really glad that this note that we're ending on, just picturing a violent train accident. But no, but for real, thank you for everyone that took the time to listen to this entire episode. It's been good being able to do one of these every month and just like have an outlet to be able to express our adventures with gaming and sharing them with all of you. It's been very nice and very wholesome and very enjoyable, and it's given me an excuse to play some games and to sink more time into games that makes me feel like it gives me more of a purpose when playing. So that being said, this is the end of the episode. We are wrapping it all up unless anyone has anything else to add.
I do not.
All right. Yeah.
I
So
don't either.
we are wrapping it up. Thank you all so much for listening, and be on the lookout for our next episode and our next bonus episode. Like I said before, it's going to be for Halo Combat Evolved. If you're wanting to get any emails for those, again, it's the 19th for the May 19th for the quarterly bonus, and then the 26th for our regular episode. So if you're wanting to get any emails in or just chat with us about those, get those in. And yeah, thank you all so much for listening. This has been Door to Door Gaming, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
I didn't mean to threaten you, Daulton.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I
It was-
didn't see what was going on. I like looked over.
Last minute, man. I was like,
It was like